Welcome to our episode of the Aries eclipse. We already did one about the history and going in detail about like our superstitions about the Aries eclipse. This is going to be more personal and giving some insight about each sun, moon, and rising and how this eclipse is going to show up for you. So let's get started. Hi, Emma.
Hi, Chris.
Great. So I'm excited to do this next section of our eclipse special.
Yeah, part two.
Yes, our part two. So these are some of the key words that a solar eclipse can trigger or can remind us of, or we can experience. Solar eclipses are a little different, especially North Node or Rahu eclipses. They're going to be felt a little different than a South Node or a K2 eclipse because they're more outward. They're more connected to the divinity path, like they're outwardly expressed. They are connected to new beginnings. They're more connected to our active expression. So they're easier to handle than the South Node because South Node is more about recalibrating, going in, letting go, cleaning up, versus the North Node is kind of catapulting us to new beginnings. So a lot of us don't like a lot of changes, but then the ones that are open to new changes, we are willing to, walk the path of changing our life, or we're open to new beginnings and we are welcoming new things into our lives. We really enjoy these moments because the Rahu solar eclipses bring this to us. Anything that you like experience or like to share with the solar eclipses, Emma?
So to me, solar eclipses, they basically, I'm gonna give my personal example. I feel like they kind of help us align with our path and our purpose. And when I went through my the solar eclipse in Gemini on my rising, I was literally being pushed into a new direction that at the time, I didn't quite understand, where I was going, what I was doing. The universe kept pushing me on a different path than what I was used to. And now when I look back, like what, 3.5 years from now, um, and I look back and I was like, wow, it was setting me up for doing this, for finding my purpose, which is astrology. And now I'm basically known for the astrology girl in my community, and here I am again on a podcast with you about all things astrology.
Yeah, I really feel that eclipses that like North Node eclipses open those paths. Like they're really in alignment with things like how you mentioned, like they align you to those events. Like for me, I found a partner during an eclipse. And in my chart, I wasn't born during an eclipse, but I have my sun and my moon right on the wobble points. So when I was born, the eclipse points were in Gemini and Sagittarius, and my sun and moon are in Virgo and Pisces. So they're squaring the points. So I'm part of the eclipse season. So these are the tension points. And for me, eclipses have been like second nature. Like I always feel the eclipse season, and I always know there's big changes coming for me. I always feel the big purge that needs to happen. Um, and sometimes I don't really want it to happen. I'm just like, oh, here we go again. But like I just have to go with it. I also have Uranus conjunct the South Node. So it's like you have to kind of trust the process. You have to let go. You have to like just really reinvent yourself. So really trust the transformational process. So like that you can open up to new opportunities. Like you mentioned, like you found yourself in your calling, right? You became an astrologer. And if you don't like open up these opportunities or like really think differently and like see things from a different perspective, then you're not going to see the gifts that lie within these like life-changing events. But there is a lot of fear mongering that goes with solar eclipses or eclipses in general. So don't be afraid. Yes, they bring changes. And this is why a lot of the kings back in the day hated eclipses, because no king wants a lot of changes in their kingdom. But we do need changes to evolve. We need changes to continue to calibrate and adjust. And if we're always the same, that's boring. I mean,
Boring.
this is
Yeah.
coming from a South Node Uranus person. So I'm never going to want to be just the same. I do like sameness. I do have a strong Saturn, but at the same time, I have South Node conjunct Uranus. So I do like to reinvent myself, and I do like changes, because if I'm always the same person, I feel like I get bored with myself. I need to change my perspective, my beliefs. So every so often, like, handful of years, I'm a totally different person, yet I'm still the same. So, um, I welcome these like little, you can say like little vertex of energies, little portals, little time like portals that we get. So we could connect with the universe and just invite changes in. And we don't really have to do much, just be open-minded. Now, this is the chart for the Aries eclipse, and it's happening on April the 8th at 11:20 a.m. and EST time at 2:20 p.m. And most of the energy is happening in the sign of Aries. However, we still have planets in Pisces, and then we have some planets also in Taurus, and then we have one planet in Aquarius, which is Pluto. He's gonna stay there for a while. um, but when I see this, we're having like the concentrated energy from the midwinter months all the way to mid-spring. And when you kind of follow this energy, we have like Pluto in Aquarius that brings the hardest time of the year, midwinter, which is like the test, right? We're getting tested during this time. This is the coldest time of the year, especially for the northern hemisphere. Um, so it brings a lot of tests within us. It's testing our psyche, our belief system, our hopes, dreams, the way we think. And then we go into the energy of Pisces, which is testing our faith, our also our belief systems, but this is more like our spiritual beliefs that like are not connected anymore to the earth. These are no longer connected to humanitarian causes or the collective. They're more like the spiritual collective, the 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 ether, the soul that resides on the body, but more like interested in the actual existence of the soul itself without a body, the angelic realms, right? The spiritual realms. So it's the realm that doesn't have like an actual 3D energy. So that's what's kind of difficult to grasp. It's a very misunderstood energy because of that. Yet it's still an energy that exists in the 3D. So it needs to find a way to merge this spiritual energy into the 3D. So that's how it has to master itself. But this is a very testing and trying energy for people, because it's the last zodiac sign of um the zodiacs, but it's also based on season. It's the last of the winter season, where you've kind of depleted all your resources, and you're testing your faith, you're testing your resources, you're testing your ability to survive to then Aries season. And Aries is connected to survival. So now we're having the eclipse in the energy of surviving, new beginnings, rising up. This is when you have the seed that's been germinated and fertilized in the energy of Pisces because of all the melting snow, right? All the melting water, like all the consciousness, all the energy that was like all the water that was in the air that froze over from Aquarius, landed onto the earth, stayed frozen onto the earth through Pisces season. And then as Pisces season started getting a little bit hotter, started melting onto the earth, started fertilizing the earth, germinating those seeds. Then the seeds get warmed up by the sun as the sun is getting closer to the equator, right? Warming up everything. And then we have spring equinox. And then here becomes, the sun that then makes everything glow again. We have the birds that are chirping, the butterflies that are flying. So nature responds. Humans, because of all the technology and all the distractions that we have, we're not necessarily responding to nature the way we should be responding to nature. We're not in alignment to nature how we should be. And I think that's troublesome. Um, because we should be responding to nature that way. We should be honoring the seasons that way. We should be resting more during the winter, and as soon as the sun gets stronger, we should be out there and enjoying the sun, just like the animals do. So this is an invitation for you to do that and just kind of reconnect. But again, going back to the energy of the eclipse, it's highlighting this Aries house for everyone, and it wants us to have new beginnings in this area of our life. And it's conjunct Chiron. And I found it so interesting that it's exactly conjunct Chiron. It's 19 degree 24 minutes, just like the sun and moon. So Chiron is the wounded healer, and he's new to astrology. He just came in the 1900s, actually 1970, I think, 70 something, to astrology. And he's been very popular because we want to know more about the wounded healer. Chiron has a inner child trauma story, and I feel a lot of us, especially those born with a very strong Pluto placement in the last few years, have had this inner child trauma story. So that's why we can relate a lot to Chiron, because Chiron carried this story with him. And although he was um, such a good centaur god, um, and he was a teacher to the god, he carried his story so deep in his soul, and it affected him in a way that it affected his self-esteem, and it defined who he was. It defined how he expressed himself. So the sun and the moon conjuncting Chiron just talks about how we need to heal this side of our wounding, or something within our psyche that it's kind of holding us back from really being liberated, because Chiron wasn't liberated. He didn't feel completely happy, even though he holds the key to his own happiness. And it's funny because his glyph is a key. He was raised, or he was adopted by the sun, Apollo. He was adopted by the sun. He was raised by the sun. The sun taught him everything and more. So he was a master of all the healing arts. He knew astrology, he was a chiropractor, herbologist, Reiki master, anything you can think of, any of the healing arts he knew. Archery, everything. He was a jack of all trades, yet no matter what, nothing can bring him comfort that his parents did not want him, that his parents did not love him. And he carried this pain in his heart. Eventually, he then attracted or manifested physical pain because one of his students accidentally shot him with a poisoned arrow from Medusa's poison, and now he would regenerate himself because he was a god with that same pain, but physically. So now he carried a emotional pain and a physical pain. And because he was both an emotional and physical pain, he pleaded the gods to then sacrifice his life for, or trade his life for, um Prometheus, who gave the gift of fire, Aries, fire, to humanity. And the gods decided to forgive him, to forgive Prometheus and allow Chiron to trade with Prometheus, but not exactly in that way. They didn't allow Chiron to take his place. They freed Prometheus and then they gave Chiron a place in the constellations of the stars. So they allowed him to pass over and no longer be experiencing his physical nor his emotional pain. So he finally got liberation, and he got liberation in a different way. He was able to pass over. Gods technically don't pass. So he was able to pass over and no longer feel that pain. So as he was able to take control and finally realize that he held the key to his own happiness, that is when he felt fulfilled. And honestly, this eclipse really reminds me of that. It reminds me of, you hold the key to your happiness. And yes, it might trigger trauma, it might trigger pain, it might trigger memories, it might trigger things that make you feel like crying or vomiting or wanting to yell or scream or have like anger. I've already been sent a couple messages, especially a lot of you that were born with Pluto in Libra have been sending me messages saying, why am I feeling angry? Why am I feeling frustrated? Why are my kids, why is my spouse frustrating me? What is going on? And there's inner turmoil within you that needs to be worked through. You need to let it all go. There's something in your psyche that you're holding on to that maybe you thought you healed and you haven't healed it all the way. Just today, I got another message from one of my clients saying, I finally broke up with my boyfriend. He was actually an Aries. He decided not to deal with his childhood trauma. And I'm tired of his passive aggressive behavior and his narcissistic, pessimistic ways. And we're done. And that's it. And she ended it. Um, and that's the best thing someone can do. If they're not doing the work, you don't have to be there for them. If they're not doing, and then it was easily ended. It's like, you know what, then it's time to break up, and the other person's like, okay, let's break up, okay, bye. So it was that easy, and that was even more shocking. Like, it was that easy, that's it. So that's when the person's not willing, not vested. It's that easy to let go. But yes, it's painful when breakups happen, but sometimes they need to happen because the person or the situation is not in alignment to you, right? In this case, that Aries person, they need to deal with their own dirty laundry, because if you already dealt with your healing and the other person hasn't dealt with it, you can't heal them. You can't. You can try, like how she was doing, she was trying. She was pushing him, like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink it. And he wasn't drinking it. So then she finally decided, you know what? I can't do this. I'm not your mother. So I can't do this anymore. And she drew her boundary. And then he responded like, well, I'm walking away. And that's what it was. And it's heartbreaking because, yeah, I guess, you do invest time and effort, but it's better to end it when it's easier to cut ties than when it gets more complicated. So, unfortunately, there's things like that are happening. And yes, this is the Aries Libra axis. So you're going to see a lot about relationships. It's a little easier to handle than when it's in the Scorpio Taurus, because it's way more emotional. It's way more intertwined because you're talking about a very possessive type of energy. In Aries and Libra, it's a little bit easier to let go. Um, but it's still, anytime there's breakups, it's it's hard. But with Chiron, you can really find immense healing. And the key is within you, honestly. And even with him, I'm not saying that this relationship's not going to work for them. It can if he finds healing, but he won't do it unless he really wants to, and he needs to take that journey on his own. And if that happens to be a little bit too late when he completes that and my client's already moved on, then it is what it is. But if, it's not too late, then it's not too late. Maybe he needed that push, and this is the way he got it. But either way, um, I had another one too that said all this stuff is opposing her Pluto and she's been explosive to her kids. So she's like, I feel like I have a short fuse right now and something's triggering me. And I looked and it's opposing my Pluto and ha. So just, be kind to yourself. Look at whatever planets you have in Libra or any cardinal placements like um Capricorn and Cancer, because you're going to get a push with this eclipse. You're going to get some type of transformation. It's going to ask you to work, but yet it's going to bring great healing.
Yeah, so what you were saying about when you were giving the mythology of Chiron, I actually thought the same thing that you said, that this eclipse is actually reminding me of that story. Like I thought the same thing. Um, Especially, Aries has to do with our identity, like our who we are, our identity basically. And um all of what you said, that the issues with Chiron, like our insecurities, our inner child healing, basically need to heal all of that, to become a better version of ourselves, and being able to be in our true, like our truer self, in our true authentic individuality.
Exactly. Exactly. So I just find it fascinating that it's like conjunct the eclipse, and I feel like the sun and the moon are giving like this big hug to Chiron and really giving like like reparenting the inner child. Like it feels like that, like giving this big hug to Chiron, yet it's in a sign that doesn't need like a lot of nurturing. It's Aries. It's like quick. It's like, the kid that falls and you're like, oh crap, they ate it. And then you kind of look at them, you're like, don't make a big deal so they won't cry. Right. But you're like, are you okay? You pick them up nicely and then they just get up like nothing. You're like, yeah, you're strong. You're good boy. Go. And then they just keep running. But then there's other times like you can make the incident more exaggerated, like, oh my God, poor baby, you fell. And then he starts crying. Like I've done the experiment on both of my boys where if I would tell them, oh, you're strong, like, oh, you're okay, just dust it off, they'll respond how I was giving them feedback. But then if I did it where like, oh, poor baby, you had a big boo-boo, oh, and then they'll start crying. So I was like, whoa, you could really, if you can really instill confidence in your child, or you can instill a lot of doubt and insecurity and real like a lot of neediness. And I'm not saying that crying is bad, because I'm a big ass crybaby. I'm a Pisces, so I always like a good cry, but I also think that we also need to have like a good mix of strength. There's times that you should cry, and there's times that you need to strap on your boots and leave the crying for later. You can, like respond to the crisis, and maybe when you go home, you can cry. I'm not saying don't cry ever, but I'm saying there's always a time and a place, and I think if you have that good balance, That's what matters. So for me, that's what it reminds me of. It's like the mom and the dad kind of like really reassuring the energy of like Chiron, and it's an Aries sign, which is quick, fast, and you can get like a lot of healing quickly. And it's not something that you're gonna like stay in for long. And I think in the spiritual community, that's where the inner child healing, unless you had like a lot of trauma, but even then, staying too much in the healing is not useful either. Like if you stay too much in the stage where you're like constantly healing, like when the fuck are you moving forward? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you have to eventually move forward. And this is coming from a person that I had a lot of trauma in my life. Like my dad was very abusive. I have a stellium and Scorpio in the fourth house. We had domestic abuse. We had physical abuse. Like there was a lot of things going on, and I forgave him. It took me a lot of years. I had to mature, had to grow up, and I have a relationship with him now. But if I was still on my healing journey, I would have never been able to move on, and I would have never been able to rebuild my relationship with him. None of that. Like I would have still been healing and I would have still been hurt. So eventually you have to let go of all that stuff. And for my clients, and I'm not saying that all my clients come like this because I have highly evolved clients that come through, but there's some that when I speak to them, they're still healing and they've been healing for quite some time. And I'm like, but when is it enough? Like, when is it that we're going to switch? And they're like, you're right. It's time. I can do this now. I can switch. I can now take action. Now I'm able to. Now I can do it. And a lot of them have been through this relationship, like healing from past trauma inside a relationship. Like they've been single for a long time, Aries energy, and they want to be in a relationship, but they forgot how it is to be in a relationship. They're so independent. I can take care of myself. I can open my own doors. I can carry my own groceries. Then when they're in relationships, they fuck them up because they can't take like any niceness. They can't take compliments. They can't take someone helping them with their groceries. And I was like, why not? They're your boyfriend. If they want to help you with the groceries, let them. Like, oh, but I'm independent. And I was like, no, you want a boyfriend, they can help you. And it's like, kind of learning this axis again. And it's because of giving up their, like, being vulnerable. Like, again, like, what is what you used earlier? You had said it. Um,
For what? Oh, like codependency?
oh, yes, yes, right. So they were so codependent before that then they kind of like, they took that out of the vocabulary. And, healthy codependency is good. You could be good. Like you could be in a healthy codependent relationship as long as it's not toxic, because you depend on each other. You're codepending on each other to make a life, and that's fine. It's bad when it's toxic and it's unbalanced. When you're really depending on the other person to survive. You're like, I can't breathe without you. Like I need you here every single minute, time of the day. Like so that's bad. But when you're depending on each other because you have this vision of your life, like we're going to retire together and you guys both have the same vision, like we're going to do this together, we're working for the same goal, we want similar things in life, like that is fine because you guys are both depending on each other. The idea is to make it together, and that is healthy. So that is fine. But a lot of single people that have been in very, very toxic relationships, they kind of don't want to ever get there. So they never let themselves like depend on another person anymore. And that's my mom's one of them. Like she became very super independent because she was in a relationship with my father that when she got into relationship with another person, I mean, she's had a boyfriend for I don't know how many years and they don't live together. He has his own place, she has her own place, and they've been together for so many years and they're both comfortable that way. And it's normal to them. And she likes her independence. And she's like, nope, I'm not going to change it. And it's a thing that she hasn't healed. So I also think because not just the sun and the moon talk about the mother and father archetype, they also talk about the husband and wife, right? So it's also bringing a lot of healing to the husband and wife archetype. So it's just beautiful all around, honestly. I just really think it's a nice aspect having Chiron there. Um, and then we have like, the other, like we have Pisces and Taurus, which are very nice, fertile signs. Yes, we have the malefics there. We have Saturn and Mars in Pisces. But then we have, Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus. So, they're Jupiter's nicer. But but yeah, like, we have like the fertile energy, like the fertile signs on the side. So there's some like nice energy coming in from the other signs that support this Aries energy. Um, and then kind of Mercury retro, just kind of going through all the planets in Aries and touching back on the eclipse and going all the way. I think when does it station? It stations at what? Is it 17
I
or 15 degrees?
I don't know. I don't remember the exact degree at the top of my head
I think it does station at 15 degrees. So
on the node.
yeah, it
Yeah.
might station close to that node. Yeah, so it kind of, anytime a planet conjuncts um eclipse points, it just kind of reminds us
Yeah.
of that energy all over again. So look, I'm checking right now. I'm checking. Yeah, it actually stations at 15 degrees. So it does it does conjunct the
And
node. Mercury retrograde will continue throughout the season, reminding us of this eclipse season for us. So it's a great time for healing. Anything tied in with relationships, anything tied in with trauma from childhood, but really, really about you. It's all about you, honestly. You hold the key. It's you, and you taking accountability. You might want to heal other people or point the finger at you, but how does that saying go? When you point one finger at others, there's what, three other fingers pointing back at you,
yeah,
right?
something like that.
Yeah. So you have to take the accountability on your part. And yeah, I know there's some people that are fucked up, and yes, they've done things to you, but there's something in your psyche that has attracted that. Why? You have to see, why is it? Why? And why did you have to work through that? So then you find the lesson why you had to work through that. Anything that we would want to add to this?
No, so I agree with you. I think this eclipse is, I think it's a really nice one. And I think especially with Chiron there, I think because I think healing is beautiful in general. Um and sometimes, we don't even notice certain things and certain issues or wounds that we have. So being able to, heal all of that, I think is beautiful. And even with Mercury retro, um just a chance to, turn more inwards and reflect more. I don't know, I like this eclipse.
Yeah, I like it too. I also like that Venus is making a sextile to Pluto. So, I mean,
Yeah, Pluto is your buddy.
I like to say that because Pluto's intense.
Every nice aspect to Pluto you like.
Yeah, I'm just like, please, Pluto. Um, he's very intense, very devoted. It's very devoted energy. So when Venus and Pluto are together and they're in harmony, it's a very true, passionate love. So, um, and this is in a they're in the air and fire sign, so it's more outwardly. It's gonna be more expressed, not internal, but outward. So it's more fun. It's more momentum out. So this could also be a time where you see like a lot of spark, a lot of people like they're doing the healing, and at the same time they're more motivated to, try again and to find someone. There's also a trying to Black Moon Lilith, so you know, harmonizing the feminine sexuality. Let's see what happens with that. Okay, so let's get into the zodiac signs. So we have um Emma's going to be doing all the fire and air, and I'm going to be doing all the earth and water. So we'll start with Aries.
Okay, so for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So this is a very significant and pivotal period for you, Aries, since the solar eclipse is happening in your own sign. So it's bringing new beginnings and fresh start to many aspects of your life, but especially related to your identity, to your self-image, like who you are and who you're becoming, but also related to your personal goal and ambition as well. So it's basically like you're rebranding yourself during this time. Um, and especially with Chiron very active in this eclipse, it's also giving you an opportunity to, heal any insecurities and wounds that you have in order to really fully step into that new version of yourself. It's also about putting yourself first and asserting yourself and asserting your individuality with more confidence. So basically, this is the beginning of a new story for you, Aries. That's one that's more aligned with your path. So like we said with eclipses, like trust the process. The universe is guiding you towards a more aligned path. So yeah, I can't wait to see what Aries bloom into.
Awesome. Now we have Taurus, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So the eclipse is happening in your 12th house. And this eclipse is illuminating this shadowy part of your psyche, bringing opportunities for profound internal transformation. So this is a time to release anything that no longer serves you. This is particularly in alignment with your subconscious mind. So it's a great time to practice new meditations, go into deep introspection on what it is that is working for you, what is not working for you. Like go within and really start purging and aligning to your real true beliefs. This is a time to like rest and go within and really go into that psyche to like cleanse within. And this is going to bring you a lot of guidance and inner peace. And this is how you're going to find a lot of healing. So you're healing the internal, the psyche. So not a lot of external. What you're doing is taking time to heal from within. This is going to be way more meaningful for the Taurus rising. So if you have a Taurus sun and moon, you can also do this, but make sure you listen to your rising sign as well. And you can combine all three.
Now, Gemini's sun, moon, and rising. This eclipse is happening in your 11th house of friendships, network, and long-term goals. Um, so Gemini, just basically get ready to expand your social circles. I know Geminis have no problem with that since they are, the butterfly, the social butterfly of the zodiac. But this eclipse is bringing in new friendships and connections that are more aligned with your path. So you could be finding your tribe or your community during this time. Since it's all about connecting with like-minded people, people who lift you up and who inspire you. This is basically what the 11th house is all about. It's also connected to your long-term dreams and aspirations. So new opportunities and new beginnings regarding your future plans. Really like starting to get a clear vision of the future that you want, and really also considering the role of your network and your friendship in achieving those dreams.
And then for Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this is very pivotal for you because you're having the eclipse on your 10th house, and this is like one of the axis houses. So, career and public image take center stage for you. This eclipse changes your way that you are perceived by the world. So, it challenges you to align to your career path and be in alignment with your true authentic self. It's a powerful time for change, and you can actually change your profession or your status, or even go deeper into understanding your personal goals and desires. If you've been wanting to get a promotion, this is a time that you can like really step into that role and like have the confidence to apply for it, work on those resumes, like really, really go for it during this time. Like embrace the courage and follow your heart, really follow your dreams. You have the like universal go, like just do it and catapult.
Now, Leos, so for you, this is happening in your ninth house of expansion, travel, and higher mind. So this eclipse is basically going to push you outside of your comfort zone and push you to really broaden your horizon and expand your mind a bit more. And that could be through traveling or experiencing different cultures, or through learning new subjects, or even teaching. If you've mastered a topic and you want to teach your wisdom and your knowledge to others, this is also good for mentoring, maybe looking for a mentor, or maybe you're the one doing the mentoring. Engaging in new spiritual practices also, and basically seeking higher truths and meaning, because the ninth house is also about our belief systems. So this eclipse can help you in changing your perspective and to look at the bigger picture. So keep an open mind and remember to also embrace the spirit of curiosity and adventure. Um, but basically, get out of your comfort zone and spread your wings.
Awesome. For Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, this eclipse is happening in the transformation house. So this is in the realm of shared resources and also the house of intimacy. So there's gonna have you're gonna have deep transformation in this house, which can bring in conversations and deep challenges may arise here that prompt you to reassess your boundaries and commitments. So, this is going to be a harder expression for you because it's time to talk about these joint resources. It's time to talk about intimate things that occurred, whether you were, you experienced them at young youth or within your relationships or the current relationship you're in now. You have to have these conversations. You have to do the healing. It's time to heal and regenerate. It's time to foster deeper connections within others and yourself. So it's a deep transformational growth. But like how we mentioned before, Chiron is here and he's getting a cosmic go from the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon are reparenting Chiron, helping Chiron. So that means they're going to be helping you. You're going to find healing very quickly as long as you're willing to do it. So you do the work and you're going to find that healing. You can also be able to heal any limiting beliefs that you have around resources. So you can assist your partner around joint resources too. You can assist your partner around budgeting and things like that, relieve credit card debt and things like that. So if it's not intimacy, if it's not shared resources, you can tackle your debt. It's all about tackling these themes of this house and restructuring them, seeing them from a different perspective.
And now Libras. Um, so Libras, this eclipse is happening in your seventh house of partnerships, relationships, one-on-one connections, and collaborations. So basically, this eclipse is ushering in a new beginning or a new cycle around your close relationships, whether it's your romantic, platonic, or even business partnership. Um, so you may also notice that relationships that no longer align with you could be ending, but also new and faded relationships are starting to take form. And especially with Chiron in your seventh house right now, it's also giving you the opportunity to heal old relationship stories and healing all of that, like what we're talking about earlier, of that codependency, and being really able to balance that Aries Libra energy. Now, if you're single, be ready to meet your potential new partner. You may be changing your relationship status from single to in a relationship, or if you're in a relationship, maybe your relationship takes a new level of commitment, maybe going from dating to engaged or to even married. um, but even on a non-romantic aspect, you could get into new business partnerships or collaborations that are life-changing for you. Just be mindful that Mercury is still retrograding in your seventh house, so you want to be a little bit careful with new deals and contracts.
And for sun, moon, and rising in Scorpio, this eclipse brings attention to your daily routines, your health and work, because it's in your sixth house. So it's an excellent time to initiate new habits that align with your true self. Consider changes in your work-life balance or health routines that reflect your deep transformative nature. So let go of practices that hinder your well-being. It's time to sit down and calendar everything that you're doing so you can then have a more practical way of executing your life and your routines and really master the art of multitasking in the most beneficial way for you. It doesn't have to be something that you follow to a T, but something that you follow as a strategy so you can then tackle it and really have a beautiful health routine and a beautiful work balance, and even incorporate anything like planning on like prepping food or things like that. And I also advise to schedule any type of health appointments during this time whenever you have the sun transiting your sixth house. I know this is an eclipse. I wouldn't go to the doctors on an eclipse, but I would schedule some appointments. So maybe schedule them after the eclipse, but do take the time to, take care of your health and get those preventative appointments. You don't have to do anything invasive like, schedule a surgery or, blood work or anything like that, but just seeing a doctor for a physical wouldn't hurt because that's not something too invasive.
Okay, now Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. This eclipse is happening in your fifth house of romance, self-expression, creativity. So it's really a time to focus on the things that bring you joy, on the things that light you up and set your soul on fire. So you may feel a surge of inspiration or creativity during this eclipse, and it's bringing also a new beginning or new opportunities for you to bring that passion project or your creative endeavors to life, basically. It's also pushing you to be yourself and to express yourself in a bold new way. So whatever you're passionate about, whatever your creative endeavors are, this eclipse wants you to basically embrace your inner artist, and to let yourself shine as well. It's also activating your romantic life. So whether you're single or in a relationship, it this eclipse is bringing some spark or some fire back into your romantic life. And if you're single, maybe it's time for you to put yourself out there.
Woo! And for
Steamy.
yes, steamy. And for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, it's all about the home life and family. This is the focus for you. So reflect on your foundations and your personal history. You can also remodel your home, or this is a time that you can look into maybe moving into a different place or set this big plan to purchase the home. You might not purchase the home now, but you can say, you know what? I'm getting rid of my debt. I'm going to start saving for a home. And in a year from now, I'm going to buy a home. But this event that led you, like this epiphany that led you to change your perspective on from not being a homeowner to being a homeowner, this was caused by the eclipse. So it can bring life-changing events in your home life. So, you know, think outside of the box. This is connected to family matters, to home life matters. At the very least, you can remodel your home. You can, buy new couches or just change the energy of the home around, feng shui it, do whatever it is to just kind of clear the energy around. So it's all about embracing the changes within your home. I always like to explain it this way. Your home is your sacred space. So taking care of your sacred space where you rest, where you feel protected is always priority. So make sure you take that time to just like take some, you know, a few hours out of your busy month to tidy it up, clean it up, make it feel fresh. I don't know, walk around with Palo Santo or sage it. So just so you can have this new energy around, but really a new moon eclipse in the sign of Aries also wants you to connect to your ancestry. So if you can do some type of meditation to connect to your ancestors and see who comes through, if you're into that stuff, I would recommend it as well.
Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. This eclipse for you is happening in your third house of communication and learning. So this eclipse basically brings in new opportunities for you, Aquarius, to really speak your truth, to share your voice and share your ideas in a bold new way with more confidence, really finding the power of your own voice. Now, this could be through writing. Maybe you're writing a blog online or an article, or just engaging with others through social media or within your direct environment. It's also pushing you to maybe learn something new, like a new skill or a new course, because the third house is all about like stimulating your mind. So this eclipse is really stimulating your intellect, your mind, and activating basically your social connections for you, Aquarius.
And last but not least, Pisces, sun, moon, or rising. This spotlights your finances and personal values. So this eclipse is talking about you realigning your values and your money. Look at what you purchase and if that is something in alignment with what you value. We've been hypnotized, that's another Pisces topic, with purchasing on automatic pilot. We kind of sometimes purchase things that are not in alignment with us, and we end up tossing it later or like thinking, why did I even buy this? This is a good time to take accountability on how you are investing your money, how you're spending your money. Is it something that brings you happiness? Is it something that you should have used better to invest or, save or whatever it is? So this is a good time to really look at your budget and reinvent yourself through that. I like to visit this topic. This is actually where my moon sits because I have the moon in the second house. So I always like to revisit my budget, and I consider myself a good spender. I am a Leo rising, so I do like nice things, but then at the same time, I also like to have savings. I also like to make sure that I am not like on my last penny. So I like to have a nice balance of things, and I wouldn't do that without looking at my budget house. So this is a great opportunity to adapt this practice if you're a Pisces. It's an opportune time to initiate new financial strategies or sources of income that align with your values and support your spiritual and material growth. So, yay, good for you, Pisces. And then lastly, we wanted to talk about Mercury retrograde. So, this is a little Mercury retro ritual. Emma, can you talk more about this?
Yes, okay. So, as you know, I make candles and I have the whole zodiac collections, but I also have a Mercury retro candle. It is the scent is sandalwood. So when I created this candle, I created with the Mercury retrograde in mind to kind of like have a candle that you can light when you really want to, cool down and calm yourself when the chaotic energy of Mercury retrograde, is taking over your life. Um, so, and I'm a natal of Mercury retrograde. I was born with Mercury retrograde. And honestly, like I don't hate it. My life is not chaotic. Well, it could be chaotic sometimes, but I think it's pretty good, and I think I deal with Mercury retrograde pretty decently. Um, there's a lot of inward process taking place with Mercury retrograde. We, the natives of Mercury retrograde, usually we tend to process things more in our mind before we actually express them out. And it is something that I struggle with because I don't always express myself and my feelings how I am supposed to. But so this little ritual that we have, as you know, Mercury retrograde is going on until April 25th. So if you have my Mercury retrograde candle, now would be a good time to light it. If not, you can always get it on my website, but also any candle will do. And during Mercury retro, what I really like to do is, go back to the stuff that I started and that I never finished because I'm a Gemini rising, so I'm always doing many things at the same time, and I don't always finish all of them. So during Mercury retro, I make it a priority to at least go back to one thing and see how I can, continue and finish it. So that's one thing that I like to do. Another thing also is to make sure that I find some time to, wind down. And I know Chris had a Mercury retro meditation. I
Yes,
don't know
I
if
do.
you'll have that. Yeah, so maybe you can share the link. So I take some time to really listen to that meditation. I try to make, I'm not gonna lie, I don't do it every day, but I try to do it a couple of times a week when Mercury is retro. I think it's really helpful. So with this ritual, we are going to write on a piece of paper what you decide to redo during this period. Like it could be, like I said, like revisit a project that I didn't finish, or maybe you review or reevaluate your relationships. Any read that you decide for yourself that it's time for you to go back and look at. And the crystal that we chose for this one is hematite. And I believe this is because it's Aries season, right, Chris?
Yeah. Well, the reason I chose hematite is because it's very grounding. And since Mercury is retro in Aries, first Mercury is retro and it's in Aries, we need him to slow it down. And since hematite is super grounding, it's magnetic, it's going to slow him down. I'm actually a native with Mercury in Aries. So I like fast, but sometimes my Mercury in Aries acts like if it's Mercury retro. Because since I do
So fast.
things very
It's
fast,
like,
I fuck up. So, but it's not because it's retro. It's because it's in Aries. So, so that's why I'm a big fan of hematite. I actually have a hematite bracelet, and I have two of them actually. I wear one on each wrist, so I can slow down. And the wrists are connected to Gemini, right? Gemini energy. That's why I use it. I also have a necklace, but I find that it helps me more with my wrist. Um, so that's how I use it, but that's why I chose hematite. Some hematite's more grounding. Um, but I chose it because of Mercury being in Aries, because I Amazonite is also really good for Mercury in retro.
Yeah.
There's other stones that we can use for Mercury in retro, but hematite is just much more better because Mercury is in retro in Aries.
Right. So if you don't have a hematite, you can also use whatever crystal is calling to you. Um, and then Chris, the rosemary, I'm gonna let you talk about that. That's your department.
Yes. So you can use rosemary essential oil. You can put a little bit of drops onto the candle if you want, if you're not using Emma's candle. So if you're just using a regular unscented candle and you want some scent, then you can drop a little bit of essential oils onto it. If you're using Emma's candle, there's no need to use rosemary because Emma's candle already smells amazing. So where you can use the rosemary, you can actually put it on your wrists if you'd like, and you can then use the energy of rosemary. Now, rosemary is connected to Mercury, and it's also an herb that's connected to the sun. I find it has the connection to both Mercury and the sun. I actually feel it's a Kazemi energy. So for me, it reminds me of the sun Mercury conjunction. So there's some herbology books that are going to talk about it being connected to the sun and then some connected to Mercury. And I was like, I actually agree with both. And I'm like, it's Kazemi. Rosemary's connected to this energy of attracting abundance. It also has a very protective quality. So because of Mars being in a sign like Pisces, where Pisces also rules this side of like secret enemies and things like that and the unknown. And I wanted to use something that protects us from that and like brings like a very like nice, secure energy. So that's why I chose rosemary. And it's also very abundant. So whatever we're redoing, we want good benefits, right? We were like, for me, I'm rewriting something, a big project, revising it actually. So I want good results from it. So that's why I'm like rosemary. That's what I'm using. So I want an abundant result from my revision. Um, so that's why I chose to use rosemary. And you can get creative. You can actually also put it on the back of your earlobes, like your temple area. You can use it, you can put it there too. Yeah, you don't have to necessarily put it on the candle, but if you don't have a scented candle, you can definitely put it on a scented candle. But get Emma's candle. It's amazing. It's cheap and you're gonna love it. And you can always use it. Like you don't have to use it all in one retrograde season. You can turn it on and off, and
Yeah.
then next retrograde season, you still have it. You can turn it on and off, and then order another one, like when it's over. Like it's amazing. All her candles are amazing, and they're a pretty good size too.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you guys a coupon code. When if you go on the link on my website, it should be linked below this video, and use the coupon code Cosmic to get 15% off of any candles that you get. Again, the coupon code is Cosmic. Pretty simple.
Oh yeah, and then maybe we could also put it in the description too, like the code. So
Yeah.
the description and the link to use Cosmic if they want the
Yeah.
discount. Yay!
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoy the retro ritual. Let us know if you tried it and if you like this part of our podcast. If you don't like it, also let us know because we can throw it all out if you don't like it. So let us know. We want to hear it. We want to hear what you like, what you don't like, so we can continue and or discontinue some stuff. So we thrive on your feedback. So that's how we grow and improve. And yes, we're just starting, so we want your feedback so we can continue to improve ourselves. But yes, this was fun. Thank you so much. And I know the next
Yay.
time that Emma and I meet again to record, we're going to be talking about um the Taurus um the Taurus season, and we have a special in regard to Taurus. We're going to be talking about the bullish market and Bitcoin and things like that. Not too extensive into it, but yeah, we did want to bring things up, how we kind of geek out on astrology and just
Yeah.
so yeah, we're excited about that. So make sure you subscribe so you know when we post that video, and keep you guys posted on what we put up. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, and we'll do this all over next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.